Another Brick Breaker video here. So in this video, we're going to look at creating a ball class, which I've already done here. And I'll get to that in 1 second. I will just run my program. And as a reminder, I've got my title screen complete. Or at least complete for now. You can definitely change this and add to this later, add more buttons. Maybe have a second screen where you get to choose some settings like a difficulty mode or a dark mode or a high score screen, something like that. But right now I'm just going to keep it simple so I can click anywhere to begin. And I've got my second wallpaper here, my blurred background. And then I've got my ball, which I chose as a planet Earth image. You can choose an image for your ball. Or you can just make it a circle, whatever you'd like, something that fits your theme. Okay, so in this video, we're just going to learn how to create the ball class and then how to draw it. And then in the next video, we'll get that ball to move. So we'll take this in steps. We'll try and get this ball moving and then bouncing off the edges. And then we will make our paddle across the bottom and then our bricks along the top. Okay, so yes, I've got a ball class here, and because because my ball is going to have a image associated to it, I have these two import statements at the top. If you choose not to have an image and just want a regular colored ball, you don't need this. Okay, so why would we create a ball class? Why don't we just create one ball in our Brick Breaker game? You could do that, but this will allow us the chance to create additional balls. So for instance, maybe you hit a special type of brick in your game and then a second ball gets released. So kind of like a power up. And then you could easily do that by one line of code. You could create another new ball object. And then you could even create a whole array or an array list of ball objects. This just gives us some kind of future considerations here. So our ball is going to need to have a position on the board, on the playing screen. So it's going to have an X and a Y, and I've chosen to make this the top left and top Y. I suppose you could make X and Y represent the center of the ball, but I think it's just easier to make it the top left, because when we draw ovals or draw images, we always specify the top left of that image. Then we're going to have a size. The nice thing about having a size variable is that you could adjust it. So again, you could have a power up where your ball gets bigger or smaller if you hit a special type of brick or get to a certain level in your game. And then we have these important variables dx and dy, so delta x and delta y. So this is going to be the horizontal direction. So this will just be a number, and this will be a number as well. I'm just realizing this might be a mistake to make it a double. I am going to change these to ints. So basically, every time we move the ball, we're going to add dx to x, and we're going to add dy to y, and that will be the next position where we're going to draw the ball. Okay, I realize now I also have to change this to an int and this to an int as well, and I might have to change something else down below. Now I've got a sixth instance variable here called image, and this is going to be an image variable. And every time I draw the ball, I'm going to draw this image. Again, you don't need this if you just want to draw a solid color, but I think an image is kind of neat. I have seen students in the past as well make a GIF, an animated GIF, like a basketball kind of rotating. So that's a little bit harder to do, and you may need to research an object type called icon. I think that's what you need to get the GIF working. And then I'm just thinking about this now. If you would like, you don't have to do this, but you could make another variable, and it's static, called numBalls. Okay, and so this is a static variable, so it's going to be shared among all instances. So if you have a whole array list of balls, this thing is going to be shared. And then what you could do is set this equal to 0. And then every time you create a ball. So every time you call the constructor, you simply just add 1 to numBalls. Okay. And then, of course, what you would need to do is make a static method called getNumBalls that would allow access to that private static variable. Okay, we'll do that in a second. So here is the constructor. So this is going to accept an x, a y, a size, a dx, a dy, and an image, and we're just going to plug those into our instance variables. You'll notice I'm using the this command because I decided to name these exactly the same name as the instance variables. Okay, then I have methods. So I know it might not look like it, but remember this is a method because we've got the curly brackets here. I've just chosen to compress that to just one line. So these are my 6 accessor methods, and I'm going to add a 7th one, and that is going to be public static int getNumBalls. Okay, and then this is going to return our static variable numBalls. So if for some reason I want to keep track of how many balls are in my game at any particular moment, I could do that. All right. Oh, and then we're going to change dx, get dx. We've changed that to an int, and get dy to an int as well. And then my mutator methods, yes, I'm also going to change this dx and dy to an int. All right, so we know about mutator methods. We've got 6 of them here. And I suppose you could make a mutator method for this static variable, but we're not going to do that. Okay, next we're going to make a move method. And in this video, we're not actually going to we're not going to loop this or create a timer quite yet. We're going to do that in the next video. But this is going to be an important method that is going to be called every few milliseconds that our game is running. So we're basically just adding to our x and y coordinates, and then we're going to draw the ball. Okay, and then drawing the ball, simply right now, we're just going to draw our image at position XY, and we're going to force the size of it to be, it's going to have a width of size and a height of size. And again, these are values that are just passed in to the constructor. Okay, so you can pause at various points in this video and make sure that you have a nice working ball class. We are going to add to it as we progress through the game. But let me now quickly go back to my Brick Breaker game code. And what we've added here is we've added a 3rd image variable called ball image. Okay, and we're creating a ball reference. Okay, so we're not actually creating the object yet. We're just creating the reference. And again, later you could change this to an array or an array list of ball objects if you plan to have many different balls in your game. Then in the constructor, we are going to load in our ball image, just like we loaded in our wallpaper. And so I went and found, I actually tried Gemini to give me back a PNG of an Earth, but it was having trouble. It wasn't giving me a transparent background. So I just Googled one, and remember, this has to be saved into your folder that is storing all of your images, so your project folder. And then in my at the end of the constructor, I'm assigning my reference, okay, the reference that I created up here, I'm assigning it to a new ball object. And now this is up to you. I'm making my ball somewhat in the middle of my screen, right? My frame is 1200 by 800. So I'm going to start it here. And then I'm making the size 50. That might be on the large size. You could make that a little bit smaller. It depends what your image looks like. And then this is my starting dx and my starting dy. So that means every time I move the ball, it's going to move 2 pixels to the right, and it's going to move 3 pixels up. So remember, the more negative that y gets, the higher you go. So the y-axis is upside down from math class in Java. Okay, and then lastly, I'm passing in my ball image object. I'm passing that into the constructor. Okay, and then in my paint method, I'm calling the title screen and the game screen, depending on what value the screen is at. And so in my game screen, I'm calling upon my ball object to move. Okay, so we simply say ball.move, and then that's going to call the move method. It's going to add to X and Y, and it's going to draw that ball. In other words, it's going to draw the image at that location. Okay, so once again, it should look like this if I run it. Okay, and you can work on that until your image is drawn, and then once you've got your image drawn, you can move on to the next video where we'll see how to get this thing to start moving. Okay, bye for now.